Is the pilot shortage still a thing? Should I start my training in 2023? Or by the time that I'm finished my training, are the airlines still going to be hiring? These are some of the questions that I've been seeing online in the forums, everything all around for new pilots trying to get into aviation. Well, my name is Michael Colley. I'm a CFII here in Central Jersey, and I'm here to help with some of those questions that you guys have had. I'm going to be responding today based off of things that I've read online, research that I've done, and things that I've heard from other airline pilots currently in the industry, just to talk about the different situations and what the current state of the pilot shortage is today. Well, it all started back in 2019, 2020 when the world went under. And from that date, pilots were really out of commission, right? Pilots were not needed because people weren't traveling, right? Things stopped. The world stopped. The current predictions in that time stated when travel picked up again, it was going to be a long and steady climb. Things would take a long time to get back to normal. Well, they were completely wrong, right? People were tired of staying indoors. People wanted to get out. People wanted to be free. That's exactly what happened, right? The world wanted to travel, and they really did. What happened during that time period, the airlines let a lot of pilots go. A lot of pilots were furloughed. A lot of pilots were out of a job. And then all of a sudden, it picked up. The traffic picked up, and then the airlines were scrambling to get people back. There was a particular apex, right? A particular apex of events that happened, that occurred. Effectively, the airlines let go a lot of their older pilots early, right? So a lot of the pilots that were 60 to 65 getting ready to retire from the airlines, they decided to take early retirement and leave, right? Some pilots got furloughed and they said that they did not want to come back, right? A lot of them had to find other jobs, and a lot of them were able to find jobs in industries that suited their life better. Because being a pilot is the coolest job in the world, but it comes with some sacrifices that pilots need to be aware of. And during this time period, when pilots were able to see what life was like from a different perspective, they said they didn't want to come back to the cockpit, right? So you have the older pilots who took early retirement. You have pilots who decided not to come back to aviation. And then you had pilots who decided to quit aviation altogether, right? The students who were in training, who saw what mess had been made and decided to stop training. And then last but not least, you had pilots who were out of currency, right? Pilots who had not flown in a couple of months, and pilots who needed to be retrained to get back into the cockpit. So you can see it was a giant powder keg of a lot of different scenarios and situations that came all together in one boiling pot. And that's not to mention that the pilot shortage was a thing well before 2020, well before 2019. It was predicted, it was happening, and it was a reality. A lot of the general public was not really interested in aviation because of the high cost of entry, right? You're looking at spending about $100,000 just to get into the cockpit of a regional airline. And then from there, the wages were terrible at the time, so it wasn't really attractive. They weren't doing much to get new people into the cockpit. And now in 2023, it all came to a halt. Things are a little bit upside down. The airlines are looking for pilots. You even see billboards on the highways of airlines looking for pilots. Never have I ever seen that before. So it is pretty surreal to see how the industry has changed. Now, as of late, a lot of things have been happening. And what I've been noticing recently is that airlines are pushing back their start dates nearly 6 months to the latter half of 2023. And it's gone and made people question, is the pilot shortage still a thing? Well, I'm here to let you know that yes, it is still very much a thing. And what's been changing is that it's turned into a captain shortage, right? We have tons of first officers, tons of CFIs that have reached their 1,500 hours, and now they're trying to get into the airlines. But the problem is the captains are being picked up by the airlines, by the ultra low-cost carriers, by the legacy carriers, and the pipeline is continuing upward. There are tons more pilots retiring, and there are new pilots trying to get into the pipeline, which is leaving a gap between captains and first officers, where the airlines need to upgrade a lot of the first officers over the captains, and it's not happening fast enough. And you guys probably know that you can't have a plane that just has 2 first officers, right? You need a captain on board. You need someone who is trained to be a captain, And that takes time, that takes hours, that takes a lot of building in order to become and get into that position. Right now, we have a lot of new pilots at the door, and then we have a lot of senior pilots trying to leave. And I think that's where the backlog has been stopping. Now, I'd say this to you pilots who are working your way up the ladder, who are trying to get in right now. If you are trying to start your flight training in 2023, I say now is the best time, because the thing is that backlog is going to start releasing and the pipeline is going to continue flowing. First officers are going to continue getting upgraded into captain's chairs, and then the airlines are still going to start pushing through new candidates. Now, the danger is, the reason why I want you guys to start your flight training now, or try to do it as soon as possible, is because of seniority. Now, this is something that I've thought about, and something that I've been bouncing back between my airline buddies, is that just like right now, where there's a little bit of a pipeline backlog, where a lot of new pilots are trying to get in, but there's not enough captains to supply the new first officers, I have quite a suspicion that in the future, there's going to be a backlog at the top. Now, what has happened, right? The airlines went to the media and told the media that there is a huge pilot shortage. What the media did, the media does, right? They share and spread the message to everyone. There is a pilot shortage. We need pilots. That has brought an influx of new pilots into the market, right? And this is good, right? This is good for aviation. And the whole point of this channel is to get more and more people into aviation. But here's the thing. When more pilots go into the airlines, we have this system called seniority. There's going to be a ton of pilots at the bottom building up that seniority. What is seniority? Seniority is effectively how pilots' pay scales are regulated, how their schedule preferences are regulated, and pretty much how their quality of life is judged. From the date of your hire, the longer you are staying with an airline, the more seniority you have, right? So a person who's been there for 10 years is going to have a lot more pay and a lot more preference when it comes to schedule than someone who was just hired yesterday, right? And it's based off of date of hire. And, it has its positives and it has its negatives. Personally, coming from corporate America, I like a system where it's just numbers, where I don't have to play favorites in order to get raises or time off. It's really just a calculated system. But what I'm seeing is that with all these new pilots coming into the door, it's creating a lot of pilots at the bottom who are all going to shift seniority up together. I'm 25 right now. I'm not sure how old you are, but as I go up the pipeline and once I get up to the top of the seniority list, how many pilots are going to be at the top, right? How many pilots are going to be ahead of me because of this influx of new pilots in the United States right now? When I look at the ALPA numbers, they're saying upwards of 8,000 new pilots have been created this year that meet the demand of the pilot shortage. So those are some things to think about. And that's what I've been thinking about in the back of my head. Not really about the now, but the future. When I turn 50, 60 years old, and then there's a whole line of pilots that all joined the same time as me and now are clogging up the top. Just some things to think about. I don't think it's anything to be worried about, and I do believe that anybody can have a fulfilling career. And seniority is not the end-all be-all, right? I did not care about seniority when I was going through my training. I did my training without debt. I sacrificed 3 years just to get here. And I sacrificed 3 years of seniority so that I could live without debt. And that was my choice. That was my conscious choice to stay out of that game. But there are things that have to be said, that have to be thought about when going into this industry. End all be all, I do believe that now is the best time to get into aviation. 2023 is the year to do it. They are really hurting for pilots, right? The pilot shortage is only going to continue getting worse. As those pilots start to retire and as the shortage of new coming pilots continues to dwindle, right, it's going to become harder for the airlines to source pilots, and that's going to put you in the best advantage to get there. What I'd highly suggest is that if you are now getting into your training, look out for those scholarships, right? The statistics show that a majority of scholarships go unapplied for. I'd say apply for as many scholarships as you can, as many aviation scholarships as you can. Get yourself surrounded by fellow aviators. Get yourself surrounded by other people who are on the same path as you to motivate you and push you along your journey. And I think that's the best thing for anybody to do right now as we go into 2023. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts and what I had to share. All of these are my own opinions, right? I just got these based off of the facts that I've been reading, the newsletters that I've been seeing online, and speaking with other airline pilots about their experiences and what they've been seeing in the industry. If you've liked the video, feel free to subscribe. Would love to have you along on the channel. And if you want to hear about more, feel free to check out some of my other videos. I speak about all things aviation all throughout the week. So if you're looking for more, I'm here. Looking forward to see you guys in the next one. See you soon.